First, let me thank y'all for allowing me this opportunity to tell you a little bit about the history of our community and how I discovered this history. It began for me back in 1977. A guy by the name of Alex Haley published a book called Roots. Roots was a national phenomenon. It was made into a television series, the most popular series ever watched. The book was on the New York Times bestseller list, 46 weeks, won a Pulitzer Prize. What it did for America is it made America begin a quest to discover its roots. And during the process of this mini-series, for African Americans, it was big news. It was exciting because our mindset was changing. I remember being in the area by the Canyon Lakes and talking to a group of my friends. We were talking about the Lubbock community. And somebody said, I don't think anything can help this community. Roots has helped America, but I think Lubbock, the black community, is beyond hope. So we began to think more about it, talk more about it. I said, what we need to do, we need to look into the roots of our community. So it became such a strong feeling within me that we went to the Lubbock City Council and we asked if we could put up a mural depicting the history of some of our early settlers in Lubbock, Texas. And at the time, I'm talking 1977, 1978. At the time, it must have seemed like a very radical idea. The people on the city council, the parks board, they said, what you do is go do your research and come back. And we want to help you, go do your research and come back. And then I got a call one day from a guy by the name of Bob Nash. Bob Nash says, I read about you in the newspaper, I read about what you want to do. He said, but I just want to know if you knew that the first recorded death in Lubbock County was the death of a black cowboy, Spider Jack. Have you ever heard of Spider Jack? I said, no. He said, have you ever heard of Colonel Ronald McKenzie? I said, yeah, McKenzie Park's named after him. He said, Colonel Ronald McKenzie was led into this area by Seminole Negro Indian scouts, scouts who were promised a black Seminole nation in West Texas in exchange for their services as frontier scouts. I was like, wow. He went on with different, a black conquistador came through West Texas, to New Mexico, in Arizona, during the days of Columbus. I didn't know any of these things. He said, but what you really need to check out is a thing called Nola's Lost Expedition. It's about a guy named Captain Nicholas M. Nola. I'm doing research on Nola. And you need to find out a little bit more about Captain Nola. There's a man in San Angelo who can tell you a little bit more about Nola. One of his great-grandfathers was one of the Buffalo soldiers. You need to talk to him, and you need to find out about Nola's Lost Expedition and come back and talk to him. Eventually went and visited with this guy in San Angelo, an older man. He said, yeah. He said, I can tell you about Nola's Lost Expedition. You see, this is what happened. They had a guy, his name was Jose Tafoya. Jose Tafoya said, mira, cazadores, hunters were coming. He said, these hunters, some of them were walking. And Captain Nicholas Nolan and his troops, they were camped out at a place called Bull Creek. These hunters came up to Bull Creek. They began talking to the captain, pleading for his help. Captain was excited. They could tell he was excited. Captain Nolan was an Irishman. And when he got excited, he got cocky and could barely control himself. He told the hunters there, he said, so you say you want your horses back. And you said then that you want me and the black fighters to go up there and get them back for you. Let me ask you this question in that. By any chance at all, would you be wanting a bowl of ice cream to go with that piece of cake? Because that's what it'll be. It's a cakewalk. Oh, you see my men there? Ambers! Yes, sir, Captain, sir. Call them in this way. He said, the men you see before you, brave, strong, would like nothing better in this world than to help you get your horses back. But you see, don't call them niggers. You don't call them mokes. You don't call them brunettes. What you call them is soldiers, troops, fighters. The Indians call them buffalo soldiers. Don't laugh. They lack the name because they know that the Indians know that buffalo is a proud animal and a very respected animal. Oh, you're going to get your horses back. They like nothing better than you. You see, I know you've heard the stories about the Llano Estacado, how hands would come from the sky and choke the life out of a man. They're not true. We've crossed the Llano Estacado 3 times, and we have a map. I know it's been a dry year, but Shafter's map's got places where the water, you see, let me tell you about the Llano Estacado. It's flat as a pancake. It's hot as a skillet, as dry as a bone. I know this has been a dry year, but like a pancake with dimples on it. They have these licks. They call them pliers. We've got a map that plots all the pliers made by Shafter. We're going to use that map. We're going to track those Indians down. We're going to get your horses back. Now here on this map, this is Bull Creek. Up there is a place called Double Lake. On the edge of the Llano Estacado. We're going to go to Double Lake. We're going to send Jose out to look for the trails of Indians. We'll come back and you'll get your horses back by Friday. I guarantee you. Friday morning, Jose comes back. Indians! He explains that he's seen about 40 Indians riding slow like they're in a parade. They saddle up the men, they begin chasing after the Indians. But the Indians led them to this point and that point. They led them away from the water. After about 4 or 5 days without water, one of the men fell from his horse. And I got some things in this bag here. Let me show you what I have here. These belong to my great-grandfather, and I want you to see them. I want you to try them on. This is a pair of, I don't think they're big. Let's see what it's got here. This may fit. Let's try this one on. They begin to chase these Comanches again and again. And after about 4 or 5 days without water, the soldiers and the hunters who were with them became so thirsty, they began to stick their cups in their canteens up under the horses when the horses were ready to urinate. They were so thirsty. They said their tongues were swollen like leather. The sun was so hot in those 4 days without water, men began to lose up as much as 15 pounds. People, some of them fainted from heat stroke. They were so thirsty they put their cups in their canteens of these horses. And these horses urinated in these cups. They took the urine, put a little sugar in it. Smelled like mule sweat. And they drank the horses' urine. The horses were as thirsty as the men. The horses weren't making any more urine. These soldiers who raised these horses from ponies, taking care of them, counting them. The horses would fall. The men would take their knives, put their knives against their horses' throats, cut their horses' throats, break their horses' bones. When no more horses were dying, they would even give some of the urine to the horses. They begin to bite into their flesh, suck their own blood. Now, during the course of this, 4 men died, 26 horses died. The hunters left a long time ago. They found water back at Yellow House Canyon in Raw, right in the area over here by Dunbar High School. But the soldiers tried to make their way back to Double Lake, most of them, except the ones that left. Tried to make their way back to Double Lake. It was 86, they went up on a hill on the other side of the New Mexico state line now. looked for what they call that hill, Nigger Hill, just a few years ago. They looked for water, They said the only place that we know that there's water, 75 miles away, temperature over 100, July. They begin a long trip back. They finally made it, some of them made it back, not all of them, like I said. But some of the soldiers who left who didn't want to follow the captain anymore, who knew where there was water, they were court-martialed. He told me these things, and I said, I got to let the people in Lubbock know this. People in Lubbock don't know this. We have history. We have a lot of history. So I go to my friends, I said, we have to prove to these people that we have history. They said, how are we going to do it? I said, you know the thing I was telling you about the Buffalo Soldiers? We're going to get some cavalry uniforms. We're going to go down into Hoka, double it. We're going to put on those cavalry. We're going to get some horses. And we're going to see how far we can go without water. That's exactly what they did. They said, Eric Strong was going crazy. But I talked to a lot of people, a lot of my friends. I talked to my friend Eddie Dixon. Some of you may know him. Eddie Dixon said, I'm not going to see how much I can go. I can go without water. You can go by yourself. But about 10 of us went. We got some old horses from the riding stables out of Buffalo Lake. We talked to this guy. Said, we want to show you up in Texas. We have history. It's history out here. And if the news people come out, we're going to say, we got the horses from traveling riding stables, and we appreciate it. So the man, bless his heart, he let us use those horses. And we were teachers, counselors, people, preachers, people in the community. I did not know before we left that the majority of the guys had never been on this. And a lot of you know these guys. People like Leon Budden, Bobby Thomas, a lot of people out this community. But we started out trying to see how far we could go without water. And on the very first day, the first evening, it was hot. One of the guys fainted. And the people from United Press International took a picture of this guy fainting. And the picture went across the country. And people began to say, we like, the history of African Americans in the Old West. It's a fascinating tale. I'm glad about what you're doing. You need to be more than just a minute. They began to say that. Well, to get to the close of what I want to tell you is, like I said, Roots, the book, it changed my life. The history of our community, of our learning, changed my life. And today we're working on a project that gave us a building. We've done a lot of arts and humanities projects, a building to build a museum. We've commissioned the artists to build us a wood carving, a buffalo soldier. And Eddie Dixon, the artist, who I told, he said after the reenactment got so many, some of them meant to be a buffalo soldier. He went on to be commissioned to make the National Buffalo Soldier. But we're working on that project, and I'm proud to be a part of Lubbock. And one of the features of it is going to be an art walk where people can see these beautiful sculptures and can kind of have a green space in the heart of the African community and give people something to be proud of. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to get my junk off the floor, and I'm going to get out of here. Thank you.